The Honourable Member for Bass.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. My colleague, the member for Braddon, and my deputy leader, Jeremy Rockcliffe, has quite properly raised this issue as an MPI today. It follows the question that was asked of the Health Minister just a half hour ago regarding the matter of the Health Minister in December last year confirming that a cabinet decision had been eventually and at last taken to ensure that there'd be 3 local health hospital networks around Tasmania, and she did that and got some good press. I have it here on the 14th of December. Front page of the Examiner reads, "O'Byrne follows North script." She was getting some pretty bad press. She was getting some awful press, some terrible reviews prior to this, and finally she was able to break through that, and the second page here shows health move applause. Mr. Speaker, based on this minister's answers in question time today, I can say to this House she's going to have a very bad day tomorrow when Northern readers find out that she is preparing to sell out her own community, that she's preparing to step down and step back away from a local hospital network for Northern Tasmania. When she announced on the day before, on the 13th of December, that there'd be 3 local hospital networks, she got rave reviews, and as I say, she did need to break through the bad publicity she was getting both as a local member and as the Health Minister in addressing it. The local community had run a very vigorous and active community campaign to retain as much as possible local autonomy in health. They made it clear they wanted a northern network that was financially autonomous, that was locally delivered and managed, and that could make its own decisions. But very importantly, Mr. Speaker, very importantly, a local hospital network for Northern Tasmanian region would make sure that they are funded appropriately for the efficient work that they would perform. And this is a very important ingredient to this debate that should be lost on absolutely no one. It's not been lost on the northern community leaders who have spoken out on this. And by the way, this is why they are so motivated to ensure that they have their own local hospital network and not bundled in to some sort of statewide supposed local hospital network. The minister said that the local hospital network would be accountable to the parliament and to the people to make sure that the services they provide are according to the needs of each of those communities. The minister also said that the local hospital network would be responsive to the needs of the local community. And the key word here is local. The fact of the matter is that the northern community leaders who have spoken up on this issue don't trust the minister. They don't trust the health department. They don't trust the government to protect the local hospital and area health service there. The government has terrible form on this. I'm sure I don't have to remind the minister of that spring day in 2007 when there was 5,000 people gathered in Civic Square demanding a better deal for our local community. The local Launceston Chamber of Commerce and Northern Hospital Network Support Group member Lou Clark applauded Ms O'Byrne at the time. She said it was always about delivering the best service on the ground for Tasmanians. The Bass federal member for Bass, Mr Jeff Lyons, said of the decision that it was a good one for the state and quote, "I'm confident that we can come up with a really good method of running the show now that we've got the structure right." The AMA welcomed the announcement. Former Northern Local Hospital Network Support Group Chair and member for Launceston-elect Rosemary Armitage quite properly congratulated the minister, and she said, quote, "thanked her for her commitment, care and support for our LGH by announcing 3 networks." She also said that this would give the local community a greater say in how their hospital and health services were run, provide greater autonomy and accountability, better coordination and integration of the core policy planning and performance roles, and better support for the more efficient and effective delivery of services. I'm standing today because I want to see our Launceston General Hospital benefit from the opportunity that's provided for in the federal reforms. We may not, as a party, have thought that the federal reforms were as good as they could have been. I would have liked to have seen even more local control. But if there is going to be a health and hospital network, let's make sure it at least encompasses the same boundaries as the current Northern Area Health Service. The benefit to my hospital, the LGH, is available under the 3-network model because currently it's delivering much higher levels of service in emergency, surgery and also cancer treatment, just to name 3 areas, than, for example, its sister or hospital, the Royal Hobart. But it's funded at much lower levels in the provision of the specialists and consultants and surgeons to actually perform those services. If you like, per procedure, it's funded a lot less and receives a lot less in specialist staff appointment to deliver those services. Our consultants and specialists at Launceston are under enormous pressure, under enormous stress and strain, and they look south and they see in their Hobart Hospital that a much greater number of staff in the same profession, in the same field, are performing much less per person. They're under enormous stress. Activity-based funding means funding hospitals for what they actually do, and it will iron out this funding inequality, and it would see increased efficiency occur. It would see reward for effort. But I say to the Minister, if the activity-based funding goes into a central statewide health network, the higher activity in Launceston will be unrewarded and it will continue to suffer from reduced staffing. So your silly interjections are not going to address that concern. And to suggest that somehow it's a case of my colleague Mr Rockliff somehow not being briefed or somehow not being smart enough to understand what you've been trying to say lately is just another distraction from the central issue. The North will demand better of this Minister, and she'll have a very bad news day tomorrow, and she'll have plenty of them, so long as she continues to act as the Hobart Health Minister. We need to see a better level of assurance to this House and to the Tasmanian community to reconfirm the decision of December, which was the right decision. And when she does that, she'll have my congratulations.